The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Plotty... What?
Potty Potters.
Have you said that? And you still have got it wrong, Julia.
Oh, God.
Put your own teeth in. Come on. Has it been a long morning already?
It's been a long 24 hours, hasn't it, Elaine? Anyway, hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast.
Should we change that to make it less of a tongue twister?
No, I quite like that challenge.
It keeps her going.
Yeah.
It's almost like she needs a run up to it.
Yeah. Is that like a high jump?
I think it is when you're trying to say the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast.
You've done it.
Ooh.
Anyway, have a go. Right, okay. This is season 2, episode 24, and I'm Julia.
And I'm Elaine.
Hello, Elaine.
Hello.
Well, we've had to come inside, haven't we, today?
You know, I've never known a year like this.
No.
Everybody who you talk to, I've just spoken to 2 ladies outside on the path coming up, and they look pretty fed up as well, and just said, when is it going to change? I said, I don't know.
Do you think that this year is going to have an adverse effect on people coming back next year?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think especially people who are new to it, unless they've seen anything for their efforts, anything growing, I think you'll see a lot more people giving up. And also those people who've been wavering about, you know, maybe they've not had successes in previous years. I think this year will be enough to see them off and they don't want to stay. And I don't blame them, really.
But the thing is, Julia, we've had water. I don't mean a little bit. Most plots have been underwater for months.
Yeah.
And you've got to get your head round that, haven't you? Because then when we did start to plant, it was, well, we were into the season. It's funny because I was just talking about potatoes, actually, before I came here. And I didn't plant mine until May.
Yeah.
I've never done that in my life. So I think the price of food will go up.
Well, we were
and I
talking
think
about
people will
your
pack
potatoes
up.
last week, weren't we? And the fact of how late into the season the chips are.
Yeah.
And I think we went and got chips a couple of weeks ago, and they're advertising that they were using new potatoes at that point.
Really?
And be wary because they could be quite mushy because they don't obviously make great chips.
Oh. Well, we'll see when we get started. But mine have been in a couple of months, that's all.
Yeah.
Which normally, first earlies, you're not going to take them until they're going, 10 weeks. Some people will have planted them, but not up here. Because, if you remember, we planted them when we thought it was safe.
Yeah.
So most will have... Actually, that's interesting. That reminds me, Kev, plot 2.
Oh, yeah.
Kev, plot 2.
He planted potatoes, and he planted them before me, and not one of them has showed sign of growing. Not one.
I think they've rotted.
I do too.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot more of them have.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's not good. And I'll tell you what else has happened that I've noticed, and I think I'm seeing signs of it all over the social media and everything. Germination. I think there's real issues with seeds germination, but also pollination. There's hardly any pollen. There's hardly any pollinators.
There's hardly any bees.
I mean, our lavender is usually a buzz, isn't it, this time of year?
Nothing.
But things aren't being pollinated in the polytunnel. So it's time to get that tickling stick out again and just tickle the aubergines and tickle some of the flowers, just so that we get
sure
things
you're legally
growing.
allowed to do that?
Yeah.
That doesn't send us into being X-rated, does it?
No, I don't think so. I think I've done it before, but it really is necessary this year. And I think, a lot of the courgettes I've seen outside, they're just going mushy at the end of them when they've...
The other thing is, though, Julie, we haven't even got going yet, we're talking, but today I've got lavender bushes at home, and the other day I saw one bee on there.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Where've they all gone?
Well, I'm wondering if it's something to do with being cold.
Yeah. Do you think they stay in the nests?
I think we need to get a bee expert on.
That would be really good, actually.
Yeah, let's
find out where the pollinators
Because if they're not being out and about, they're not getting any honey, surely.
No.
So that's going to push honey prices up as well, further down the line.
Well, luckily, I've got a friend who's a honey person.
A honey person?
Yeah.
Is it the honey monster?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
See if we can do it. Yeah. Right, get on with it then.
Hurry up. What are we talking about this week? Well, you've listed Sweetcorn, greenhouses. I assume you mean Gareth, do you?
Yeah, it is.
Tomatoes, flowers, beans, and in fact, you've said we're going to pack a lot into this half hour.
Well, I think we should, don't you?
Well,
people are on the way to work and just listening while they're ironing and all that malarkey.
So actually, do you remember that lady we went out to a talk and she said she listens to us when she's going to sleep?
That's a bit rude, that is, isn't it? That's like she's not taking any of it in. I'm sorry. We need to send her a test.
I mean, we're hardly a bedtime story. We're hardly Jack and Ori, and
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a backhanded compliment, really.
There you go. One
she takes you to bed.
Yeah.
Right then, get on with it.
So if you have any questions and you'd like to get in touch, you can via the social media channels Facebook, Instagram and X at Potty Plotters, TikTok at The Potty Plotters. You can email naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out the website pottyplotters.uk. And if you'd like to support us to keep us producing the Plotcast, you can go to kofi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters and leave us a tip, and we'll give you a big virtual hug and love you forever.
That's nice.
Yeah, well, we're nice people.
When Gareth does it sounds really professional, doesn't it? It sounds
Because
really...
he is.
Yeah.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
So Elaine, Sweetcorn, what about it?
Well,
I'm not growing any this year.
no, I'm not either.
Why?
Because I haven't got room, that's the main thing.
Oh.
But I just thought it was time to talk about it because some people are asking if it's still too late to plant sweet corn. Now, I don't think it is, Julia. Now, I've noticed that Martin, plot 1, he's put his out, and I tell you what, it's loving this weather.
Really?
Yeah, and I was wondering if we ought to turn everything into being positive because the sweet corn is loving the cool and definitely the wet. So
Didn't we mention
maybe
sweet corn last year? Because in effect, last year it was we were sort of mentioning that it wasn't doing as well because we had the extreme heats
Yeah.
for the last 2 years,
Yeah.
and obviously this year is, you mentioned, it's loving it. So consequently, we should just be planting stuff that loves really
Wet.
poor weather.
Yeah. The thing is, though, Gareth, if you go backwards, what the RHS and other organisations were saying was that we've got to be prepared for climate change. I thought that we were. I thought that we were looking for drought, but actually it's turned full circle. It's not drought, it's floods. And it's really hard to manage. I mean, we haven't got water up here. We have to collect our own anyway. So it is a bonus, but flipping heck. The thing is, it's been cold as well. It's not just that it's dry. It's not just that it's wet. You're just stuck in the middle of it all, so nothing's growing.
No.
Honestly, it's incredible. I've never known a year that's so late with everything. And I know that my dad always used to say, oh, it'll all catch up. I don't think it will, because before long, you mark my words, we'll have blooming frosts. Oh. Well, Julia, when you work out,
now
it's the end of July.
I'm going to go back here because you just said you're going to be positive, and you said that you don't think it's too late to plant the sweet corn, but now you say nothing's going to catch up.
I don't think it will catch up, no, but I'm saying that it's loving the effects of this weather. So I would say go for it and get cracking on it.
I mean, what I'd say is nothing ventured, nothing gained this year, because everything is so topsy-turvy that actually you can have a gamble, can't you?
Yeah.
Because, like you say, we've been planning and planting for dry conditions, and you have to do that in advance, so you don't know what to prepare, because it could all turn within the week and we could have no rain for the next couple of months. Unlikely, but it could happen. So it's all about hedging your bets and just sticking things in, I think. Now.
It is, just
That's
go
good
for
advice,
it.
isn't it? Stick it in.
Well, why not? Because it's almost, the height of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you don't have a go, then you'll never ever know. So just go for it.
So when you're saying to
matter.
people about having a go at sweet corn, are you talking about getting plants to put in or starting fresh from seed?
Well, you could start fresh from seed because sweet corn will carry on growing until the first frost. So generally speaking, that's the end of September, October, isn't it?
Yeah.
End of October. So you've got plenty of time to get going, Julia. And I've not done any runner beans yet. No, and Kev has just been over bragging that he's now picking his. But you see, I don't plant them because I don't want them. I don't want them until it gets colder when we have hot dinners again.
Yeah.
Not that we're not having hot dinners, actually. But, so there's still plenty of time for everything to get going. Have a go.
So sweet corn, as well as water, which obviously we've established with with Martin's plot, they like the water. Is there anything else they need?
Well, I always plant in blocks.
Right.
So by that, I mean it's like drawing a square: 3 up, 3 across, 3 down, 3 across.
Yeah.
So
It's
you're
like
drawing a
crossword.
square. It's similar but very different because there's no letters. And that's what I would do. And you always have to do that. Make sure that you're never anywhere near anybody else's either, because if you get cross-pollination on sweetcorn, it's blooming horrible.
Oh.
It's vile. It becomes all starchy and hard,
Right.
and you've grown it and you won't know it until you've actually picked it, and
Yeah.
it's too late then.
And do we need to protect them against anything?
Well, the only thing that I've ever protected them from are the birds, so the
Yeah.
magpies, the
Yeah.
pigeons love them, and the mice and the rats. So yeah, just generally the normal creatures, that's all. Slugs have never touched them.
Oh, so that's one
There
good
you
thing.
go.
Yeah. So do you cover them over? Do you net them?
No, don't net them, I put socks on them.
Sorry, rewind.
Yeah, put socks on your cobs.
Okay.
Yeah, so all those odd socks
Yeah.
that you find at the bottom of the wash basket or whatever, get them out and put them on the top. So you're actually threading them onto the cobs. They won't bite them.
So before they get to the cobs, though, do you need to do anything else? Or won't the birds bother with them until they get the cobs?
I've never known the birds bother them until you get the cobs, because
Ah.
that's what they're after.
Okay.
Like us, really.
Yeah. Good
There's lots of
advice.
hints and tips you can do with those, because
Yeah.
what you can do is you can knock them to pollinate them.
Yeah.
So you'll get the brown tassel and knock them just to pollinate.
Oh, yeah,
but,
I used to go through them and
yeah,
shake them,
yeah.
give them a good shake. But like you, I've not done them this year because...
I noticed a lot of people
Yeah.
haven't they? Oh well, that's life.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Now we've got something interesting listed. Gareth's update from the greenhouse. So, Gareth, how are
Hello.
things going?
So I shot a little video.
Oh my god, you see?
Yeah.
It's a podcast. How long have we been doing this, Gareth?
Yeah, but we can put
You
audio
can't
to it.
see it.
Yeah, I could put-
Yeah,
I
but
could-
he can't see it.
I know.
It's no good
Yeah.
putting it on
So I did it as a
film.
reminder for me, basically, about where we're at. So
yeah.
if you remember, we planted 3 of the little tomato plants for do the little plum tomatoes.
Yeah.
And we've got not a courgette, a cucumber in there, a couple of peppers, and a chilli plant.
Yeah.
And we've got the chard outside, and we did the seed tapes of the spinach outside. Well, we've
Yeah.
had, what is it, 2 crops of spinach already?
Oh, well
off
done.
there.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
We're about to eat the chard tomorrow with a hot dinner because it's going to be cold again. And I'm surprised at the tomatoes. So I, unlike last year, followed instructions
Very good.
because I don't want to die this year.
No.
Because I know what'll
useful.
happen. Because I know what'll happen if you come round. So
Yeah.
I've been taking out the side shoots.
Well done.
And we've got quite a fair few little tomatoes growing. So we've had a few pollinators in. I was really pleased when I got the first flowers, and then we've had the first set of bees. Only a few. And there's a guy who lives over the road, and where we live is near. He keeps his bees behind the RSPCA sanctuary.
Oh.
So I think they're coming in from there. So we've had a few bees in. And we've got a few tomatoes. They're not ripening yet.
No.
So I'm going to start putting the banana skins in.
Yeah. I've been listening.
I have. It's
Amazing.
almost like I listen to this stuff when I edit it, isn't it?
Amazing.
The cucumber has got, I think it's 5 flowers, so therefore 5 little it was the little cucumbers,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
So five little cucumbers coming on it. There's a couple of chilies. As we discussed last week, the peppers have got flowers. Have just got flowers, I think, this week.
Yeah.
So we should start to see the peppers appearing very soon. So everything
Great.
is going great guns. I don't know, because I'm obviously late coming to this, and you use me as the benchmark for idiotic people. But are we really late in kind of the fruit coming off the tomatoes now?
Yes, we are. Everything's so far behind. So let me. It's nothing to do with the greenhouse crops, but let me talk about my cauliflowers. So my
How is Boris? I mean,
Boris-
he's a little disappointed. I think actually, let's just hold off on Boris a second, because we're recording this on the weekend after the election.
Yes.
Elaine, have you had your call yet?
No. It's really annoying. I've done so much promotion everywhere we've been.
Yeah.
I've talked about when I'm Minister for Allotments.
And lots of people supported
Yeah,
that,
they
didn't they? Yeah. However, he's
anyway,
only
but-
just shuffling his pack, so
Yeah, I could
you'll
be
get the
called
call.
up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Boris.
Boris,
You'll
sir.
understand why we call it Boris now.
Yeah. So Boris the cauliflower is a variety of cauliflowers that I do
Is it
grow.
actually called Boris?
It is.
Yes.
It's an F1 variety, and they're called Boris, and they do have big, fluffy white heads, so quite appropriate. And normally I plant plant them early in the season outside, and I'm normally harvesting them about the last week in May. This week it's the first week in July, and that is the first time I've harvested them. So they are about 5 or 6 weeks late, which is a long time, and I think everything is very, very late getting going. Everything is so slow, and like we say, it's because of the pollinators. But I mean, the only tomatoes that you can see developing in my greenhouse, which we're sitting opposite, are the ones that we've got in the bras.
They look good, they do.
The balcony reds, they are starting to colour up. So I think.
I mean, are they in bras because they hang over balconies anyway?
Yeah.
So see what I did there?
Yeah. So they're coming along nice, but if you notice mine in the greenhouse, even them, it's only the first truss that are starting to change colour. So, you know, you're not late, Gareth. It's nothing to do with what you're doing. It's just the general weather conditions. But the banana will help things along.
I mean, I'm really pleased with how they've come along. So I'm feeding them on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
We've done what we said when we planted them out. So the tomatoes and the cucumbers have got a little bottle pushed into the soil, so we water through the bottle. So it looks every day like they need watering because the top of the soil isn't moist, but obviously it's moist underneath. And they shot up no end in the last sort of few weeks. But there's a few trusses on there, but actually another political thing there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few trusses of tomatoes on there, a few vines.
Rather have a truss than not a truss.
Yeah, I'd rather have a vine if I'm honest. There's a few vines on there, but they're still quite small as well, so they haven't developed into the size, although it is a small variety of tomato. But I was just kind of sat there going, are we just being am I done something wrong, or have we just been really, really late? Obviously it's warm in the greenhouse, or warmer because it keeps the heat in. But no, it's going really well.
No, I think you're doing really well, and the fact that you're pinching out the side shoots, you should be able to see that the tomatoes that are developing are much bigger than the ones last year, because the plant's got time and energy to focus on growing the fruit. Blimey, it's windy out there, Elaine.
It is. I wondered if somebody was trying to escape out your shed.
Well,
probably.
Don't give them the password.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can leave us a tip at ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. And we'll love you forever.
Okay, and talking of tomatoes, you've got outdoor tomatoes listed on the list, Elaine.
I have, because I've seen them out on the plots, and I'm just amazed that people are growing them outdoors in all of this weather.
Yeah.
That's all. So my advice to people would be to protect them, because not only is it cold, but it's blooming windy, and tomatoes just don't like it. See, my concern is, like I suppose others, because the weather has been so bad, and we are going on about it, is that I don't think that necessarily things have got time to grow. If we were in Italy or Spain or wherever, we'd got some nice weather, but it's blooming freezing out there, and it's so windy, and it's the thing that tomatoes hate.
Yeah, they really don't like the wind. So on my old site, I did see someone growing them outside quite regularly, and the thing that they did, they built almost like what do you call them when you go to the seaside? Windbreak.
Windbreak.
Yeah, and they used to put this windbreak around them.
I'd have said beach hut, you see.
Hut.
Yeah,
I was going there. I was going there, and I thought, no.
No, she don't mean that.
No, I was thinking that'd just be like a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it worked really well, because it did protect them against the wind, because although the weather is cooler, they're okay with the cool. It's the wind they're not liking. So.
Right, well, Glenys and Trevor across there, 2 years ago, what they did was they had like that corrugated metal iron malarkey, and they had sticks, and all that they did was create barriers on their allotment,
like the windbreak,
and that actually prevented a lot of damage. But flipping it,
and I'll tell you why that might also be quite useful this year, not only for protection, but also I think we are liable to get some kind of blight or something if the weather warms up, because of the damp conditions we've had as well. So I think that's something to be conscious of as well, growing them outside, because it will literally take hold and go very quickly across an allotment site.
Just wait and see. But it's not something that I'm going to be doing.
No.
Makes you feel like that, don't it, really?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Anyway.
I just want to go out and pick tomatoes for my lunch.
Oh.
Well, you can't, Gareth.
No, I can't.
Because they're green.
No, they're horrible when
And
they're
they
green.
are, yeah. So you'll have to
we
wait
could
a
let
few
him
weeks.
put his hand in our bra, couldn't we?
There's no answer to that.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Update on the flowers, Elaine.
Update on the flowers. Well, I thought we'd jollify everywhere up a bit, really, because we have got a lot of flowers.
Yeah.
Now then, I noticed that you had netted all of yours, which is great. You've put a net over the top so that the taller flowers won't actually bend and they won't break.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea, Julia, and it's worked.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
They look brilliant. I'm looking out the window, and I can see snapdragons by the hundredweight.
Yeah.
All different colours.
Yeah.
Apricots, pinks, yellows, whites, creams, dark burgundy. And then you've also got these cosmos look nice, don't they? What are they?
I can't remember the one. I think the ones at the front are rose picante.
Are you making it up?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like she is.
I need to look
They're
at
pink.
But I know the ones after them. They are the apricot and apricot lemonade, which I absolutely love. You're trying to get out now. Can you open the window?
No, I have, yes.
Yeah.
There's some sound effects.
Oh, now then, yeah.
Yeah, push it that side. It's a bit.
Oh, I say.
There you go.
Oh, now then, here we go. There we go, now then. They look gorgeous, don't they?
They are.
Very pretty
Like you
pastel
say,
colours.
I have had to put that net halfway across, so they're growing through a horizontal net, and that is to stop them bending over because they are tall varieties. And the one thing we don't want is them all bent and twisted because we want them for arrangements, don't we, Elaine?
Yeah.
Now the thing that is struggling is the zinnias.
It's funny because I was just going to say, but the zinnias at the side. Now, the zinnias, generally, they grow to 2.5, 3 foot, and they look like a big-headed sort of dahlia, the varieties that we've had in the past. They look like they're struggling, Julia.
Yeah, they've really struggled. I've got some Rebecca that are coming up that I think will be lovely in arrangements, and they look quite healthy. The sweet peas, I'm a bit concerned. They look like they're getting powdery mildew.
Well, that's likely, isn't it? Because of the amount of water, dry, and then wind as well.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do if it is that they have?
So what I am going to do if they have, I mean, I could mix up a kind of milky solution to spray them with, and that is meant to combat it. I've never had great success, but I'd give it a go. But because I've got so many sweet peas around the plot, I think I will just let some of them go to seed. And then we'll have more for next year. Yeah, because I've had a good crop of them and we've taken them out to loads of places.
Yeah.
So, and I've also, the other flowers are now really coming into their own, so I can afford to lose them.
Now then, what about, though, the dahlias?
Oh, yeah, they're coming up lovely, aren't they?
Well, yours are, yours are very tall still.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greenery. Mine seem to have come into flower, some of them unexpectedly early. I think it's because I didn't pinch them out.
I was going to say I pinched all of mine out.
Have you done all of them?
All of them.
Oh, I've not.
Yeah, so I think that's the difference because yours are obviously, in pinching them out, I think it delays them by about three weeks, something like that.
Yeah, but yours have got taller. The whole foliage is taller.
Yeah, and that's the whole point in pinching them out, so they bush out and so I have more flowers. And I have been looking at the ones we've on our overflow plot, berries, and they're looking really healthy and happy. So
and the lavender, what about that?
Lavender's really looking lovely. Yeah, that's okay. That doesn't mind.
Mine's behind again. Mine's only just coming into flower now, so I've got some that is in flower, but the majority of it is way behind. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are the sunflowers doing?
Ooh, now the sunflowers, they struggled initially, but they are taking off now. They're really starting to grow up the canes, and I've got the little dwarf ones, and they look quite happy. They seem to like the wet.
Yeah, they definitely do.
I mean, I have had to keep going and tying them in as they're growing up because they will fall over and snap the stems of them. So, but they're looking really good. What about yours, Gareth?
So the little dwarf ones seem happier because they're not getting battered by the wind so much. So where we are on a corner plot, we get quite battered, so pots fall over quite easily. The other ones you gave me aren't the same ones as we had last year, are they? They're not as tall because last year's really blew over all the time. I was having to balance the pots out a lot last year with rocks and stuff to stop them falling over. There's a couple that have I don't know whether they just don't like their new home or not. They seem to have wilted a little bit, although they're being watered on a daily basis. It might just be because they're getting battered so much.
They need the sunshine. They will need to see as much sun.
So they are sort of seeing the sun, and you can sort of see the heads sort of moving themselves around when they sort of detect the sun. They're sort of moving and sort of bending in. So I've had to tie them up quite a lot up against the canes to stop them sort of snapping off. As I say, there's a couple that don't seem to have liked the conditions. The rest are okay, and just waiting for them to start sort of getting the buds on for flowering, which I suppose again what we're at the mercy of is the pollinators for that as well, when they arrive, so they could be really late again this year as well.
I think the ones that you had last year, I think they were Elaine's, and you always do the really giant ones, whereas this year I've given you some that probably reach about 5 foot, and it's from Save Seeds that I've had, and they are multi-headed, so you shouldn't have the same problem with them toppling over, unless you've got if you've got a plant pot that goes in at the bottom and is wider at the top, they are tending to tipple over, so you need a good
we've had it with really weird things as well. We've got some acer trees in pots, and the winds are the worst I've sort of known them for since we've moved into where we are. So last year stuff would kind of randomly topple over. You'd have a bit of a gust of wind and it would happen, but like yesterday I was running out every couple of hours to pick the acer tree up that's in a pot, because I think the acer tree needs transplanting for a start because it's probably outgrown the pot. But the wind is just it's coming round, and it's not sort of, you're not just getting a gust that's coming across, it's coming round, so everything's sort of getting attacked at the same time. So fortunately the sunflowers haven't yet haven't taken on that and fallen over due to where we've put them, but I think the actual plant itself is just not happy with some of the conditions yet. So probably we do actually just need some continuous sun for them to actually get happier with.
It'd be helpful even if we had just a fortnight.
And look for plant pots that are kind of straight up and down rather than taper in, so you need a big bottom.
That's the first time we've heard that one.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
So celeriac, Julia, I can give you an update on the celeriac. Now then, what I did say was a couple of episodes ago was you can still plant celeriac. It doesn't take long to get going. And what you need to do is to plant them near the edge of your raised bed or near the edge of the bed that they're in. It doesn't matter whether they're in the ground or raised bed. But yeah, they're doing really well. They like this weather, you see. They don't like the heat. Right. They like it to be cooler, colder and definitely wetter. So, because we've had so much wet, I haven't actually had to water them a lot, but they're doing fantastic.
Why do you plant them near the edge of the bed?
Because they're protected from the bad weather.
Oh.
Yeah. I had to think about that then.
So we sort of discussed this, didn't we, with the celeriac and it becoming that in vegetable and stuff. But actually, seriously, moving on from, you'd mentioned Kev and his lack of potatoes. Actually, if you could use celeriac as a replacement for mash, it needs a lot of seasoning because it's quite a bland taste without it. But actually, we've found something that if the potatoes don't take off, you can get some form of mash relatively
instead.
Instead,
it's much easier as well, Gareth, because there's no faff with it. You can see when it's ready.
That's
no, not at all.
CHITTING.
Not at all. But you can just plant it and it's happy. Just carry on growing. And I haven't done any fennel. Oh no, you don't, do you?
I don't like it.
I don't like it. You're sounding like Gareth now. I'm surrounded by
I'm gonna break rank with this one. So I didn't think I liked fennel because I'm not an aniseed person. But I had going back several years, I was out for a meal and it was, I think, sea bass, and it came on a bed of fennel, and I thought, it's going to be mixed in with other stuff as well, and it was actually really nice. But
it is.
Fennel as raw fennel is horrible because it's got quite that pungency taste, but when it's cooked it's actually quite nice.
Beautiful. Yeah. I don't understand why people don't grow more of it and then let it go to seed and you can use it in flower arrangements. It's a win-win. Hey, that's funny. Did we talk about win?
Win-won, didn't she?
Win-won on a raffle.
Was it Win that won the
muck raffle?
The muck raffle.
No, that was somebody else who won that. Yeah.
So what did Win win?
What did Win win?
I don't know what Win won.
I've been really careful with this.
I can't remember. Anyway, we'll carry on.
The adventures we get up to.
Top-notch advice, no Latin included. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
And setting more beans. Am I too late? Am I?
I don't know, I'm asking.
No. I don't think so. I think as long as you go for a dwarf variety, I think it's still got a chance to grow and produce. And I think if you've got a polytunnel and you've got a protected area, you're well within your time of planting.
Yeah, I would say that you can get on with any of the beans at this time of year, because I don't think July is July. I think July is now May.
Oh.
So if you go backwards, I think that makes more sense. Anyway, you're looking at me like, what?
I have enough trouble remembering what day and month we're in if we're going to change the months backwards.
See, we're recording this in Potty Plotter HQ, the new summer house, and you painted the wall.
Yeah.
I think we need to now get you a calendar that you can have the reverse
you can
calendar.
See,
Yeah.
Go backwards.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. I don't think there's any harm in having a go. And I know, because I usually do succession planting for runner beans, and I don't set mine anyway until the middle of July.
Yeah.
So I'm actually on time. I'm not backwards. Contrary to what people think.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Now then, one thing I wanted to talk about was a person called Lee Tovey.
Yes.
And Lee is in South Wales, who's been in touch and wanted to know about what he should do now that there's a gap.
Oh yes, he sent us that lovely message, didn't he?
Yeah. And what he's done is he's had a great well, that's what I've told him actually.
Mind the gap.
Because I've told him that we've already talked about the
he's
gap.
in South Wales, he won't go to London, so he doesn't need to mind the gap. It's too far. It's too far. It takes too long.
But the irony is that he's talking about the gap and what to plant at this time of year.
Yeah.
And I would say there's very little that you can't plant at this time of year.
Well, we're in May, aren't we?
What's in there? Yeah, in my land we are in May.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would say fill the gap, fill it with everything he can think of, and he does sneak off and listen to this when he's at work. So.
Ooh. Well, one thing, you know how we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the best day to plant carrots is
July the 4th.
Well, we're on July the 6th when we're recording this, but I'm going to go and do some at home because I've got some sand.
Yeah.
And I think we can kind of let's trace it across the next few episodes, see how we go with it. So I've got Nantes 3. Nantes and Nantes
2.
Yeah. Nantes 2. Oh, he's got 3.
I've never seen the 3.
I don't know.
You can have a 3 if you want them.
It's a Nantes with a number.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got 2 of them, 3 of them possibly. So let's. But I'm going to do it in pots.
Okay.
Because I don't have, as you know, I don't have any land that I can do it on, and I'm going to see how it goes, and let's check in.
Yeah,
and
let's
just
do
before
it.
we wind this one up, let's end on a positive note. So, what have you harvested so far, Elaine?
No, you said you wanted to end on a positive note, Julia.
Haven't you got anything?
You are a thing, aren't you?
What have you got?
Nothing.
You've harvested nothing.
I've harvested nothing.
My gob is smacked.
It's not the only thing at the minute. Because after this, I've got a distinct feeling it won't just be a gob.
Oh, okay.
I suppose it's all about you, isn't it, now?
No, I'm feeling bad.
How are you, blueberries?
Go for
I've
it.
had some lovely blueberries off. I've had some lovely cucumbers, beetroot, tayberries, potatoes.
It's all around your house for dinner, then, isn't it?
Cauliflowers. Yeah. Chard. That's bad. Oh, strawberries. Anyway, that's
I'd run if I was you, because it's not just really gob that's going to be smacked at the end of this.
You know, when I am Minister for Allotments,
Yeah.
I said you could be my Undersecretary.
Yeah.
Well, you're not now.
That's not very nice. Just because I've grown things, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Julia, yeah. Right then. So,
Okay.
what are we doing next time then, Julia?
What are you harvesting
in your
next
land.
week?
Next week, we're going to find out what Elaine's harvested.
It'll probably be nothing, Julia.
Oh, but you've taken flowers, haven't you?
Is that called a substitution?
Yeah.
Okay then, we'll have flowers.
Welcome to football world.
No, that'll be fine though,
Yeah.
yeah. Right, get off then.
So we'll talk next week then.
Yeah, goodbye.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.